Let's get this started. So I'm Ler from Outdoor Outreach. I'm the communication coordinator and a part-time field instructor, but I'm also a former Outdoor Outreach participant and leadership program graduate. I've been part of the Outdoor Outreach family for 4 years now. And today we have Ben with us. He is a photographer and a filmmaker. So Ben, do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Ben Ono, and I'm just stoked to be on this podcast. I'm a filmmaker and photographer on the North Shore of Oahu, and I've been taking photos and videos forever, professionally only recently, but I like to specialize in underwater photography, filmmaking, and anything that really revolves around the people and stories of the ocean. So glad to be here with Outdoor Outreach.
Right on, man. So as you know, Ben, Outdoor Outreach is it's a San Diego-based youth development nonprofit that connects youth to the outdoors as a space for them to build resilience and confidence in their power to make a difference. So today, as part of our June #Outdoors for All series, we're going to talk about our work, but really about the access to the outdoors and why it's so important. So the first question I have for you, Ben, is why are the outdoors important to you, and what benefits do you see? What benefits do you gain from the outdoors?
I mean, the outdoors in general, it just makes you feel good. You step out your door and you get some sunshine, and I don't know, you're having a bad day or you're getting a little anxious or itchy, and I don't know, there's nothing like a little bit of like greenery and plants and sunshine, especially salt water that can just cheer you up, make you feel good. Not really sure what it is. It's some sort of magic quality. And I just hope everyone could have that.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. It's something that you can't really, for me, I can't really explain it. But I know it's something that, I don't know, in a sense, it makes you feel like you're so like small in a big world, and to be in a space where it's like there's nothing you can do. Like you have to go along with the wave or the weather, like bad weather, good weather. It's only one, and yeah, it's a feeling that I can't really explain. So yeah, I agree. And do you Ben, do you like how often do you get on the water? Is it like your day to day? Like do you go in the water, shoot? Do you have a water housing?
Yeah, you just shoot with a camera and a water housing. But I mean, going in the water like every day, and like you're talking about how small it makes you feel. It's like being on an island here. You're like, I think Hawaii, I'm not sure if this is completely correct, but it's like one of the bodies of land that's like furthest away from any other continental mass in the world. And so when you like go to that coastline and you just stand on that shore, you're like, oh my gosh, there's nothing out here except blue water. It's like such a humbling like practice in humility. But yeah, I try to go in every day, if not every other day, you know.
So you were in Bishop, and so when do you went back to Hawaii? Because you say you grew up in Bishop.
Yeah, I had family out here and was very fortunate to come out intermittently to visit family over the holidays and stuff like that when I was growing up. And then fully made the move out here 5 or 6 years ago. And it was actually for a job to work here on the island as a wastewater engineer. And so I was doing that for 3 years right after I graduated college. And so I was working in the public service, the wastewater industry. And then just on the weekends, I would go play in the water and go play in the ocean. And so it was very similar. Like it was cool how you're talking about getting into water photography, because I feel like that always seems like it has a very big barrier to entry for how expensive cameras are and how expensive water housings are. But the reason I am a filmmaker and photographer today is because I would just like go out with like a really cheap GoPro and like shoot, like you said, like wave photos, like go into the shore break and just like get pounded and just have a great time. And eventually like you love it and you like find more people that are doing it and you like maybe start selling a photo or two and then like here we are today. But it's definitely possible and like I wouldn't be in the spot I am today if it wasn't for the ocean and like the activities and the joy it brought me during a different part of my life and career.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Yeah. So on to the next question. What is the greatest barrier you see to young people or under-resourced groups gaining access to the outdoors and outdoor sports?
Yeah, the greatest barrier. I think it's definitely tough, as you know, that certain parts of the world, especially like being on an island, it's so expensive. And like generally places that are near the coast or like near places of access, like you either have to drive really far or you have to be right in that area. You have to go on a flight or something like that. It's generally like very expensive to get access to beautiful places, which shouldn't be the case. I fully disagree with. What about you? What do you think is?
Uh, Based on what I've seen and my own experience, it's like you say, transportation,
Yeah.
transportation, and just access to equipment as well. And I think the biggest is just knowledge. If you're unfamiliar with the sports or activities, and it's hard to get into it. And especially if you don't have people that that does like connections. Like that does the sport, and I think, yeah, I think that that alone is the greatest barrier for like young people is I'm just speaking from my own experience, like transportation. Like I mentioned, we live in Southeast San Diego, and we have a lot of kids that doesn't have access and to like basic water activities like stand up paddling or kayaking, that sort of thing. And yeah, and part of that is also like they don't grow up in a family that does recreational sports, and it's part of that as well. So and it becomes like a thing where they grow up, and it's not really within their thoughts of like doing this as like a a sport or for fun stuff. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned because I always have like a perception of like people who live in Hawaii like surf, like everybody surf, which I assume that's not the case.
No, it's true. It's yeah, if you live in the middle of the island, and you don't have a car growing up, like which I don't, until you're like at least 16, you can get a driver's license or like, and then you got to buy a car like to drive actually somewhere to the ocean. It's very difficult to have that access, even living already on island for a lot of people. But then again, there are places and things to do around that. You can go hiking, which is like always like something like hopefully even in San Diego that you can find a couple places that are near with public transportation. But yeah, it's hard to get, and like surfboards are expensive, and like carrying a surfboard, like you don't want to get on the bus with your big like 10-foot board,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
right all the way up to North Shore. So it's like
yeah,
tough. It is tough.
yeah. And not just that, right? In surfing too, like it is intimidating if you don't know people, you have connection, you show up to a beach, you don't know what the heck you're doing, you don't know the etiquette, and you just getting out there, you might drop on somebody and they'll get mad at you, or just um, yeah, it's that part of that barrier. It's like another barrier too when you're at the beach. It's which I didn't know. Like there are like in surf culture, there's like sometimes it's like a tight circle, like certain spot, like only certain people can surf. Which I think it should be inclusive for everybody. But
I started surfing late in my life, and just knowing the process and how hard it is to actually like get up on a board, let alone like surf. is is tough. And so it's like whenever you see someone out there, you always like, like help them out, and like it's just cool that people are trying, and that they can't, because I think, yeah, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a surfing is probably one of the harder sports to get into if you've never done it before,
Yeah.
opposed to say like hiking or running or something
Yeah.
like that.
Did you were you ever do you climb, Ben?
I used to do a little bit of bouldering when I was like growing up. So
Nice.
that was a similar one. It was always, you know, when I was in high school, like we would always go up and like it was super janky. We didn't even have like rock climbing shoes or anything like that. We would just like be trying to climb in our sneakers, we'd all pile into someone's car, like a friend's car, and like just drive up into the like bouldering sections of the Eastern Sierras and try to get on these rocks, and like we'd see everyone else out there. We didn't have a pad, we were like
Yeah.
we were just going for it, and if we fell,
Yeah.
you'd like fall in the dirt. Yeah, I remember like we had this like not until like my last year of high school. Like we had this like high school prom giveaway thing. It was like a raffle, and I won a climbing pad, and it was probably the coolest thing I ever had in my life. Yeah, because you just like carry it up, and we're like, oh my gosh, we finally have like a climbing pad, like just something basic for your safety to climb.
Right. Well, next question. What do you see as the most important reason for introducing youth to and providing access to the outdoor space?
I think definitely as you're developing, it's so good to have access when you have just you're going through puberty, you have like all these things going through your mind, it's like going crazy. There's always like this serenity that comes with having an outdoor space, or even, just like some humility. It's always back to that. And I think super blessed that my parents and my family introduced me to the outdoor space growing up. It just makes you a more well-rounded human, you know. You feel better, you see how nature works, how a tree grows, how it starts as a sapling, how a river flows, and it's like things that you think are simple for people who have access now, but when you're growing up, it's so important. It's so key. It's like you're developing into a human, and like to know how this is like the natural flow of the world and the reality we live in is so much better than it's like not always being in a concrete jungle, a city block. And I know that's not possible for everyone. It just makes you a healthier person, have a better mindset for how life is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like for me, it's since like my family, like I grew up in the refugee camps, my family were like immigrants and stuff. So back home, it's everything is like it's not like concrete jungle. It's like literally my house like made out of bamboo. Like everything is like we use every resource, food. It's from nature. So I grew up in that environment of like being outdoors, but not in a like a way to enjoy it, but it was more so of like surviving day to day. Um, so whenever like growing up now, um, experiencing outdoor, going on outdoors, it's I don't know, for me it's like reminds me of home, and it gives me a sense of like like give me a sense of belonging in a way, and that kind of humbles me in a way, like I view the world and just problems in general that I encounter in life. So it's a really powerful thing to experience for sure. Yeah. So yeah, next question. And what message do you have for young people who wants to make a difference in their community but might not know where to start?
Yeah, I think you just can't try to do the whole thing at once. It's just taking baby steps and being consistent, it's like taking a friend to the beach and just as you're coming back from a surf, you see a piece of trash on the ground, like pick it up. And then someone else sees you do that. And it's kind of like this, this domino effect of, of the little things compounding, I always like got frustrated because I'm like, what is the biggest thing I can do to just completely end plastic pollution in the ocean? And it's like, you try to think like that and like you're gonna have a bad time. It's hard, and we can only do so much as individuals. And as long as you're conscious about it, like if you're already asking that question, then you're doing it.
Like, what are the things we should be aware of that people can easily like do at home, that might not have like like an audience of influence? What can they do?
It's I think, like you said, just being aware is the first step. And I think for the most part, sometimes we get so involved in our world nowadays, like even if you don't have an audience, or like we still have social media, we have we got to pay our bills, we got to go to work. And I think it's just like good to take a moment every day and realize like there is this other world out there, and it's the outdoors, and it's there for us if we need it. So I think if we can do that, just like be aware that we have access if we truly want it, then I think we're all going to be in a better mindset going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, of just being aware of it. So on our program, we do cleanup and trash cleanup, and most of the kids, like they don't get it. They're like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the benefit of this? It's So we're trying to like educate them, like the importance of keeping our environment clean and just helping out within our community, and just spreading that message is like, like, although they might not understand it, but it's like more like the reason people, like a lot of people trash is because they're not aware of the negative effects it has on the environment. So that's like the first step, of like educating someone so they're aware of it. So and that's how you get them to care and take action on that. So it's really important.
Yeah, no, actually fully seeing, like saying, oh, the plastic's going in the ocean versus, going out there diving or snorkeling, and then you see like a plastic bottle, like can ring around like a piece of marine wildlife, like around their neck. And you're like, oh, snap, like this is not good. Like actually seeing it is definitely huge.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so last question then. What scares you the most right now, and what brings you hope?
What scares me the most? What scares me the most about the outdoors, or what scares me the most about people not having access to the outdoors? There's an open-ended question.
Just like an open, like it's just a general, whatever.
It scares me the most that we are on a trajectory that is sort of an unstoppable snowball. The way we emit bad things into the atmosphere, the way that trash gets put in dumps and like plastic gets thrown into the ocean. It scares me that the way we are and how our lives have revolved around like what's easier than what's right is definitely scary to me. But it gives me hope because there are communities like Outdoor Outreach that, the only way we're going to solve this is probably not in our lifetime, but hopefully it is in the next. And so getting youth involved and aware of like these problems and the issues of climate change, plastic pollution, whatever it may be, that gives me hope.
Mm, right on. Thank you for the answer, man. So yeah, then last few questions. That's personally for me. What what advice do you have? Any advice for someone who wants to start in photography industry but don't have connections?
No, I don't think, yeah, I think that's like the biggest issue is you think, oh man, like no one's hiring right now, no one's like doing anything, but like honestly, you're just gonna have to do it because you love it, you know? And like that's how I am where I am today. It's like I just took photos with a GoPro out and and you can pick up I used GoPro Hero whatever for like 50 bucks on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and just like go out into nature, go onto the forest, film like some of the tree leaves, go film like some small little waves, you know. I still do that and I get stoked. And so like when people feel your energy and they feel that you're, out in the outdoors and having a good time and just playing in the ocean, like good things will happen. Like it's not something to worry about ever. Like getting connection. Like we're connecting right now just because we both love what we do and like the ocean and the environment and being outdoors. And so our biggest advice to any like young filmmaker is just or photographer is just go take images of things you love, your friends camping, you know, following your homie on a surfboard going down, like falling in the shore break, whatever it is, if you're having fun, like that's all that matters. My parents got me this like little Canon Rebel T2i. It was like one of the first DSLRs back when I was like freshman or sophomore in high school. So I was super grateful they got me that. Little did they know I would turn it into a career. But yeah, I would take so many photos. Me and my friends would go hiking on the weekends in the backcountry, and we would just like, I would take these still have them. They're really bad. They're like really bad homemade videos, like
Yeah.
just boys in the summer, like jumping off of like rocks into the lakes, and it's so good. That's how I started. And then I feel like I still kind of do that. Don't tell anyone.
Stay with me.
Nothing is really.
Yeah. Cool, man. So last question. If you had to pick mountains or the ocean, which one would it be for you?
I think currently my heart and my soul is with the ocean right now. It's just there's so many things you can learn. I have friends that sail, surf, free dive, spearfish. It's like this. You're always at school out here, and so I think I'm going to be learning as much as I can for the rest of my life in these water sports for a long time. But always glad to go back and be fresh in the mountains too. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Right on. Well, Ben, would you like to say anything else?
No, just thank you for your time, Larry. Really appreciate this.
No, appreciate your time, brother. Yeah, dude. Hopefully, if in the Blue Movie you get a chance to come out in San Diego, you're more than welcome to come meet the team or volunteer or come out to one of our events. Lead the Way, which we have every year. It's a fundraising event. But yeah, man, I'd be happy to meet you in person, hopefully in the future. So yeah, and again, hopefully to connect with you as well.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And get some kids out here surfing too.
Yes. You have an Instagram. You have an Instagram, right?
Yep. It's at Silky Merman.
Silky Merman. I love that.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, awesome. I'll give you a follow with this. All right, man. Dude, appreciate so much for your time. You take care, man.
Amazing. You too. Have a good one.
All right, bye.